हेलो नमस्कार एंड वेलकम टू टॉकिंग पॉइंट ब्लैंक। आज टॉकिंग पॉइंट ब्लैंक पे हम बात करेंगे पाकिस्तान की, और जो पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड जम्मू एंड कश्मीर है, वहाँ पे जो प्रोटेस्ट हो रहे हैं उनकी बात करते हैं एंड व्हाट इज़ हैपनिंग देयर एंड व्हाट इज़ हैपनिंग विद पाकिस्तान। आई वांटेड टू ब्रिंग यू दीज अपडेट्स। Basically, this is the third day today where Pakistan mein jo protest hain, the protest in Pakistan is going on in POJK, Pakistan Occupied Jammu and Kashmir Awami Action Committee, which is basically an amalgamation of you can say civil society and social workers and social activists of POJK had called for a complete band on 29th of September. Complete chakka jam, complete hartal, complete band, all shops, all establishments, all traffic was supposed to be off the road, and the protests were called in. And now why these protests were called in, it was because the negotiations they were having with the government had basically failed, and because there was no headway in the negotiations, they decided that enough is enough and they need to come out on the streets and ask for their democratic rights. Now, what are these protests about? Let me tell you first of all. Now, this is not the first time we are seeing protests in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Last year also we saw massive protests in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and that time after violence of about 3 to 5 days, the Pakistani government set up a committee and assured that each and every demand of these, of the protesters, of people who have been asking for their democratic rights, will be negotiated and will be met. But एक साल के बाद भी, after even a year, there has been no headway on talks between the AAC, the Awami Action Committee, as I said, and the government of Pakistan, government of Jammu and Kashmir, because Jammu and Kashmir government is the one which is mediating it on behalf of the central Pakistan government. Now, what essentially were the protesters asking then? What essentially are they asking now? There are no increase in demands. If you remember last year, the electricity bills, the electricity charges in Pakistan went extremely high, and they still are very, very high. So people were protesting about that in POJK, because they said that Pakistan generates a lot of electricity from Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, especially the Mangla Dam, and they should be getting compensation for the usage of their resources. Now, do not forget that Pakistan doesn't call POJK as POJK, but calls it Azad Kashmir. Pakistan also claims on international forums that Azad Kashmir is a very autonomous region and people have a right over their political rights and over their resources as well. But that is not the case. Contrary to it, everything in POJK is controlled by Pakistan directly from Islamabad and from GHQ, to an extent where we have seen gradual withdrawal of people's basic political rights being taken away in Pakistan over the years, especially in last 5-6 years. Pakistan also tried to dilute the powers of Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, जो वहाँ पर POJK की एक local असेंबली जो है, उसके पावर्स को उन्होंने फर्दर डाइल्यूट करने की कोशिश भी की, एंड वेरी स्मार्टली दे हैव बीन वर्किंग ऑन इट टू फर्दर डाइल्यूट द पॉलिटिकल राइट्स एंड पॉलिटिकल पावर्स ऑफ पीपल ऑफ Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Now, these demands were basically on the table last year. We saw violence last year, and we have seen violence erupting again this year. Now, today the update is, for now, police had opened fire, security forces, FC had opened fire, and there are reports right now that about 8 protesters have died in police firing, in security forces firing, and about 65 are injured. Some of the injured are stated to be critical. We saw 4 protesters dying day one. We saw another 3 dying yesterday. So you add 8 and 7, about 15 people in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir have died in last 3 days, and more than 150 are stated to be injured. But when AAC called for the strike on 29th, called for the protests, the Pakistani state's response had been extremely brutal. They moved about more than 1,500, you can say what in Pakistani terms is paramilitary and police, which is the frontier corps, which works under the Pakistani army, and as well as the police from Islamabad. More than 1,500 to 2,000 troops are stationed to quell these protests. So Pakistan really wanted to go very heavy-handed on these protesters and kill them. But as I said, this is not only about the Mangla Dam. The biggest demand POJK AAC had was that there are 12 reserved assembly seats which they want the reservation to be negated completely, because these 12 reserved seats are basically for the people who had migrated from Jammu and Kashmir before 1947, and they are now settled in Pakistan. So it's basically people who are now settled in Pakistan, whose second, third generation are basically Pakistanis living in Pakistan, settled in Pakistan, but still hold reservation in the assembly of POJK of about 12 states. And the biggest, you can say, grouse of, people of POJK was that this is undermining their rights. This is undermining their own, jinko wo hukuk bolte hain, which are basically rights. And this needs to be abolished, and these 12 seats needs to be given back to the people of POJK, so they can elect their own representatives, because these representatives are sitting in Pakistan. They have no connect on the ground. They basically, have privileges from the state of, POJK, from the province of POJK, but at the end of the day, there is no connect. So people on the ground are suffering, and this is a very, very, I think, a just demand of POJK, because if your representatives are not from your local areas, how do you expect them that they will come and they will be looking after your welfare or representing your interest in the in the assembly of POJK? So they wanted these 12 seats to be reserved. On top of that, they also wanted these perks and privileges, the extra perks and privileges that had been given to the elected members, which includes, on cost of people in POJK, which includes, we know all extra perks and privileges they get. They get, bungalows, they get waivers from electricity bills, all is paid by the state exchequer, and these people are basically, don't end up spending anything from their pocket. So they wanted these perks and privileges also to be removed from these elected representatives, and this is where the talks have broken down. The government of Pakistan, through the government of POJK, had conveyed to ACC saying that neither the reservation of 12 seats will be abolished, nor the perks and privilege of these Pakistanis, which in the garb of so-called Kashmiri are ruling the people of POJK unjustly and unfairly. And that is what became the really contentious issue this time. Apart from that, AAC had also demanded that they need subsidized electricity bills. They need their fair share from the Mangla Dam. What Pakistan is generating electricity out of it, the revenue Pakistan is making out of it. Pakistan government, when I say Pakistan, the Pakistani establishment, they say a fair share of it should also be given for the development of POJK. The revenue should be shared, which eventually Pakistan central government doesn't do. Pakistan establishment doesn't do that. They are just stealing the resources from POJK for a very long time. Apart from that, they also wanted, and this is a very, very contentious issue in Pakistan, atta. They wanted atta and chawal on subsidized rates, which Pakistan, POJK doesn't have subsidized rates at all. They're playing the market rate, and they wanted some reduction, and they said that we should have subsidies, which should be taking care of our, daily needs as well. So among all the major demands, there are 12 demands basically. Out of those 12 demands, these are the 4 major demands, and these 4 major demands have not been met till now. And this is what led to the protest, and this is where, the protesters are back on the street. Now, given the nature of Pakistan, every time there is a protest for rights, whether we have seen it in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, whether we have seen it in Balochistan, whether we have seen it in POJK, whether we have seen it in Gilgit-Baltistan, whether we have seen it in Sindh Karachi, Pakistani state has always come down very, very hard and very, very brutally. If something happens in Punjab, it's a different thing, but then nothing happens in Punjab, or almost nothing happens in the Punjab province, because that is what Pakistan is. It's a Punjabistan governed by the Punjabis of Pakistan, and that is the biggest, grouse, or you can say a biggest disappointment of all other regions, that on the behest of Punjab, it's all others who are suffering. Now, this is what is happening in POJK. But at the same time, let's look at the internal fault lines of Pakistan. We have been seeing, protest in KPK and in Balochistan. We are also seeing heightened insurgency. Yesterday, FC headquarters were attacked by a suicide bomber. 12 soldiers were killed. 16 others were injured in that attack. There is not a day when there are no insurgent attacks in Pakistan, and an average loss of Pakistan security forces is, including police, including FC, including army, from Balochistan till KPK, is nothing less than 12 to 15 soldiers per day, including the policemen. So such high kind of violence and such high kind of attrition rates, losing men to insurgency, how Pakistan is able to sustain it and for how long they will be able to sustain this is a matter of debate and a big question mark. Also, do not forget that the morale in FC, especially Frontier Corps, is very, very low. In Balochistan, we have seen soldiers regularly now surrendering in front of BLA because at the end of the day, they don't see the worth fighting for their own country. When it comes to insurgents, they want to save their lives. Same is the case in KPK. We see FC people either getting slaughtered by TTP or they quietly surrender in front of TTP. So this is a pattern which is emerging inside Pakistan. Now on the international stage, Pakistan is thinking, Pakistan is projecting itself as it has gone ahead and, it has rejuvenated and found a new life and found a new purpose and a new role in international, arena. And it has found a new recognition, and Pakistan is another power which it is supposed to be. But there is a huge dichotomy between what Pakistan projects itself as when it comes to the outside world and what Pakistan really is when it comes to Pakistan within. So I'll give you a very simple example. Pakistan is like a skeleton who has been all dressed up by Pakistani military, put a nice lipstick, nice earrings, some nice dress, but inside it's just a hollow skeleton, which is literally falling apart slowly and steadily, one small bone, one small calcium particle at a time. So Pakistan's internal situation is quite in contrast with what Pakistan externally is trying to project. And if the way Pakistan is going, the dichotomy and you can say duplicity between Pakistan's outside projection, Pakistan's inside reality, is something which is going to tear Pakistan away, which is going to tear Pakistan apart slowly in next to 12 years. Now, the world is not, blind to Pakistan's reality, but then it is all about strategy, and it is all about when that strategy of putting pulls and pressure on Pakistan comes through. There was a time when Americans were putting a lot of pressure on Balochistan. Now they have just turned a blind eye to it. So is it necessary that it's only unless and until the West doesn't recognize the just protests of people of Balochistan, people of POJK, people of KPK, people of Gilgit-Baltistan, that Pakistan is going to get away with this sort of, brutality it carries out within Pakistan? Well, honestly, my assessment is very, very different. Given the geopolitical, games which are happening within Pakistan, especially between USA and China, don't be surprised if the Chinese would be putting up a pressure and the Chinese would be making sure that these protests erupt in every part of POJK or in Gilgit-Baltistan or in Balochistan because it suits the Chinese. Now, how it suits the Chinese is, we also know that Chinese companies have huge stake in POJK. There were about 12,000 troops which were stationed, albeit in different modes all along POJK. And the Chinese, just to spoil the American game, would play the exact game the West has been playing with the Chinese in Pakistan. So it wouldn't be surprising if, covertly the Chinese would be encouraging these kind of protests to happen, these kind of unrest to happen in Pakistan, and the Chinese might actually be taking note of these things, or might use these kind of protests in Pakistan to their advantage in near future, if they feel threatened enough from the United States, ambitious, you can say, re-entry into Pakistan. POJK at the moment, a lot of people say that, these are protests and these are going to die. And yes, it can happen. Maybe we'll see another round of negotiations. Maybe we'll see another round of, talks between ACC and the government of Jammu and Kashmir, which is holding talks on behalf of, as I said, Pakistani establishment. There could be cessation of violence. But is this cessation of violence going to be the final cessation of violence? I really doubt. I see that this issue is going to erupt from POJK to Gilgit-Baltistan, and we are seeing already the unrest spreading within Pakistan. So Pakistan's condition is that the insurgency within Pakistan is not going to stop despite Pakistan moving Lashkar-e-Toiba camps into KPK. I am telling you that Pakistan's insurgency is not going to stop. Why? Because the fight between Pakistan establishment and the Taliban, Afghan Taliban, is just going to get widened. There is a lot of pressure coming from United States for the Bagram Air Base also, and they'll be using Pakistan against Taliban to subdue Taliban into agreeing to some sort of negotiations with the Americans. At the same time, the Chinese have really cozied up with the Taliban as well. So there are going to be hostilities between Afghan Taliban and Pakistani security establishment, Pakistani establishment in general. That is going to cause insurgency will increase, insurgency will keep its momentum going, not only in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, but also in Balochistan. And if these protests are left, you can say unresolved for a very long time, I wouldn't be surprised to see insurgency spreading. And we have seen attacks in Gilgit-Baltistan by TTP already happening. There could be an open invitation to TTP to meddle into the affairs of POJK as well, or some other indigenous organization which will come up and will say that we need to take our rights by force through arms. So Pakistan's insurgency map within Pakistan is something which is actually popping up and brewing and spreading within Pakistan. It's like cancer nodules which are slowly engulfing Pakistan. No matter how much, how pretty clothes you put on a skeleton, the skeleton is a skeleton, and skeleton will ultimately tumble and will fall to the ground. Will that happen in next decade? That's what I think the minimum time for Pakistan's disintegration is, between 10 to 12 years. 2035 is my ballpark figure, anywhere between 2033 to 2035. But saying that far apart, the Pakistanis have a problem within Pakistan which they want to quell with force, and they have always answered with force. Now, given the current American backing to the Pakistanis might feel more emboldened to go very hard on these protesters, and would expect that the global media is not going to take note of these things. And which is true also, by and large, these kind of protests are not covered extensively by the media, especially the world media or the Western media, which we speak about there. They usually try to downplay such events which are happening within Pakistan. But the reality is POJK is on fire. It's a matter of time before people of POJK would realize the futility of them staying with Pakistan, and they would actually start a very serious moment where they would actually want to sever away from Pakistan. Do they want to come to India? That is something which we will leave for the future. But given the political, you can say, condition of POJK now, if things go the way they are going in POJK, time is not for that POJK will officially, or will actually start a moment where they would really like to sever away themselves from Pakistan, just like the way Baloch are asking, just like the way KPK is asking, just like the way parts of Sindh is doing, and just like the way Gilgit-Baltistan is doing. The Chinese hand cannot be ruled out. The Chinese hand behind Pakistani unrest, within Pakistani unrest, cannot be ruled out. West also had played the same games, and Chinese would be very happy to carry on from the textbook the West has left in Pakistan. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, kindly share it, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so every time there is a video, you are notified and you're able to, watch it seamlessly. Also, I would request you to share this, my channel link with your friends and with your family. Ask them to subscribe to it. Help me grow this channel, and you can also contribute to my channel by basically becoming members for the channel, and also through super thanks and super chats. If you have any further questions on Pakistan, please feel free to leave the comments in the comment section, and I'll be very happy to answer you there. If any of you would like to reach out to me on Twitter, my Twitter ID is @rajamuneeb. You can reach me out there as well, and I'll be happy to answer your queries there as well. I hope you like this video. I'll see you next time very soon. Have a very happy Dashera. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.